Over the next 1 to 2 months, I plan to lose about 10 pounds in preparation for summer. And I wanted to show you how I plan to get there with my nutrition. So I'm gonna share with you a full day of eating. And first, we're gonna have to make our way over to the coffee machine and get that started. I'm a doctor who insists on being a fit dad, so I need to be efficient. And I want to show you how you can include fitness in your life regardless of how busy your schedule is. I always start my day with a cup of coffee. Now, I like to mix decaf and caffeinated beans because it allows me to drink more coffee and not feel the negative effects of caffeine. So I'll drink 1 cup of coffee before I go, and I'll have a second to take with me. And then when I'm at work, I'll usually make a third cup of coffee, whether it's caffeinated or decaf, depends. Before I get to my coffee, I always start my morning with a full glass of water, which ends up being roughly 2 cups. And while I'm enjoying my coffee in the morning, usually I'm also taking care of my daughter, but I'm up a little bit early today. She didn't sleep great last night, so she's still sleeping, which allows me to get onto my morning activities, which is prepping my meals for while I'm at work. Now, I like to do high volume, high protein, high fiber meals, and the easiest thing that I can do in the morning is use some prepped meat. I usually have a veggie prep, but I didn't have time this weekend, so I'm going to be making the veggie prep today, which means that today I'm using the on-hand mixed frozen veggies, which is a great, easy option as well. But check out the video linked above for my veggie prep if you haven't seen it. I love it. It's amazing. It's so versatile. You can throw it into any meal and it adds a lot of volume. It makes it filling without adding hardly any calories at all. And then we're going to pour over top some egg whites, and it's going to be about a 50 grams of protein meal or more, 50 to 60 grams of protein meal for about 350 calories, and it's going to taste pretty good. So we've got half a cup of extra lean ground chicken. We're going to throw on a cup of frozen veggies and then pour on a full cup of egg whites and let that slow cook in there for a while, and we'll cover it. But we're going to add some spices like paprika and maybe some turmeric, salt and pepper, garlic, whatever you prefer, you can add on there. And make sure you stay to the end because I think you might be surprised at how much flexibility and freedom I have with eating in the evenings because I've set myself up for success so well during the day. Now, I also make a smoothie for me and my family pretty much every day. My regular smoothie used to be about 550 calories and about 50 grams of protein or 55 grams of protein per shaker cup. And that's because I was using milk and sometimes a little avocado to thicken it up a little bit. But as my wife is also trying to lose weight right now, I've been trying to cut down on the calories in the smoothie while keeping the protein around 40 to 45 grams of protein. And so this is what we're doing. We're using water instead. It's very much simplified. I'm starting off with either frozen blueberries or frozen mixed berries. And I put about 2 cups in. So I have some lines on here, so I'm just gonna fill it to the 2 cup mark. Okay, so at roughly 2 cups. And then I'm going to cover that with water. So this time I'm trying the 2.5 cup line on there because last time I went to the 3 cup line and it was a little bit too watery. Next, we're gonna add 2 servings of Greek yogurt. Now this is for 2 people in 2 shaker cups. So 2 servings of Greek yogurt, and I think that's going to end up being the rest of this because, yeah, 2 servings should be half, and that seems like that's what it's turning out to be. So we'll just finish off the container since I used half of it for the other day's smoothie. And the reason there's so much Greek yogurt is to try to thicken it up since we're just using water and frozen berries. And it also is a great source of protein to help boost the protein count a bit. This alone is adding 17 grams of protein or 16 grams of protein per shaker cup, so per person, so it's 2 servings. And then we've got protein. Lean Fit is a protein that I'm using. I prefer their collagen added one, whey and collagen, but I couldn't get it in a big bag, so no, I've got this for now. You can actually check the code in the description and link in the comment below. I have a discount code for Lean Fit if you'd like to try some. So these are large scoops, so each scoop is 30 grams of protein, and we're going to be adding 2 of those. So you can already see just from the Greek yogurt and the protein, 16 and 30, since it's split into 2, that's going to be 46 grams of protein. And then we're going to blend it up. Let's check in on our egg. I kind of call it more like a frittata. So it kind of like bakes in the pan a little bit. It's looking pretty good. It's about done. I'm just going to turn the pan off there and let it sit for a few minutes there. And so how I like to separate my meals. I mentioned I delay my first meal till about 11. Sometimes if I end up being busy and I don't get to it right away, then I might be delayed till 12 or even 1 o'clock. But I like to sip on hot drinks throughout the morning, and that helps to keep my stomach feeling happy. I'm not usually that hungry until later in the morning anyways, and so I'll start my day with this kind of meal, a high protein breakfast that usually has some form of egg, some type of ground meat, and then some type of vegetables. It ends up being a very high protein, low carb breakfast, but is a perfect way for me to start my day. High protein gets that protein bolus going, and it's also very filling with the protein and the fiber, so I don't feel hungry right away after. And then later in the day, around usually between 2 and 4 o'clock, probably on average about 3 o'clock, I'll drink my smoothie, and this is usually quite filling, especially when I was doing it differently with the milk and sometimes adding the avocado. Like, this would keep me full until like 7 o'clock sometimes. But even this, just the 330 calories, it's enough. I drink it at around 3 o'clock that I'm not really feeling hungry until about 6. And so that allows plenty of time for us to get dinner ready when I get home. And usually we'll eat around 5:30. But at least I'm not getting home having cravings, wanting to snack. I am happy and satisfied and able to wait until we're able to put together a healthy dinner. Before I forget, I did want to say this is a very low carb way of starting the day, and that might not work for you if you don't feel good doing that. Then you can easily add in 1 or 2 pieces of toast with the breakfast in the morning. You could add half a cup of rice or quinoa or potatoes to the breakfast. And I do that as well when I have it available, especially when I'm not, trying to lose weight. But even when I am trying to lose weight, if I have leftovers available, I will add in, some rice or potatoes to this breakfast, almost exactly the same. And that way I would just usually scramble it all up instead of cooking it the way I cooked it now. But you can do it either way. And this works for me, and it allows me to have a lot more flexibility in the evening when I get home with, snacks or dinner if we're going to order dinner. Like the other day we ordered pizza, but it didn't really matter. I could have 3 pieces, close to 1,000 calories of pizza for dinner, and it didn't break the budget because I set myself up so well with my morning meals that I had the ability to, indulge a little bit in the evening. And that's the way I like to do it, because I can easily control what I eat while I'm at work if I plan ahead and prepare. But it's a bit harder to control in the evening. If things are busy, you have to go out for a meal, you have to order in, you're going to have family over, you're going to have friends over, and you might not want to be as restricted as you otherwise would be if you didn't prepare ahead. So I'm home from work now, and in total today I've had under 700 calories and over 100 grams of protein. So you can see how that makes it really easy to set myself up for success, because now it doesn't really matter what I have for dinner, what snacks I want to have. It's going to be really easy for me to hit my goal of 150 grams of protein for the day, especially because I usually have a protein snack at the end of the day before bed, and I can pretty much eat whatever carbs I want since I had a low carb day, and I'm not going to worry about going over on my calories. So I allow myself about 1,000 calorie dinner plus then snacks in the evening. Throughout the day, I did sip on some coffee. Sometimes I'll sip on some tea. I make sure I drink plenty of water to stay full and hydrated, and I just space out my meals as I feel like I need to, which again for me, typically my first one's around 11 to 12, and then the second one, the smoothie, that I'll have usually around 3 o'clock. And then for dinner tonight, we made some pan-fried salmon with some brown rice and green beans with a little bit of butter and some salt and pepper on top. And the meal altogether came to a little under 700 calories and 50 grams of protein. It was quite filling and was delicious. And then usually after dinner, it's a mad dash to get the kitchen cleaned up and the kids in bed, at which point I can then take our dog out for a walk or a jog and then do a workout. Now, I wasn't going to work out today. It was going to be a rest day, but because we have plans tomorrow, I'm going to work out today, and I'll probably just do a quick preview of that, and I'll save that detail for another video. So for the workout, I'm going to try to maximize my efficiency in the gym, reduce the overall time I spend in the gym, but also allow as much rest as possible between sets so I can function as efficiently as effectively as possible. So I'm going to go with a 3 exercise superset. So I'm going to go from incline bench press, dumbbell rows, and then to split squats. And that's going to allow me a lot of time to rest between each set, as well as give me enough time to recover my breath between each exercise. And by the time I get back around to the incline bench, I'm going to be more than recovered for the next set. I'm going to do at least 2 hard sets of each, maybe a third depending on how I'm feeling. But regardless, at the end of the last set, I'm going to do, at least for incline bench and rows, I'm going to do like a rest pause for an extra 1 or 2 kind of sessions. And so that allows me to get a couple more approaches to failure, a little extra volume in while still saving time. And that's going to be it. I think maybe I'll do some lateral raises at the end if I'm still feeling it. Otherwise, I'll focus more on shoulders the next time. But that's what I'm going to do for today. And then I'm going to be able to hit a beautiful snack. Probably going to have the protein ice cream because that's a favorite of mine every night. And then I've got room for a lot of other calories if I'm feeling it, or I can bank them for another day and just take advantage of a nice low calorie day, and then, eat a little bit more on another day if I'd like to. Now, I was really tempted to eat the entire pint of ice cream, but because I wanted more carbs for the day, I went with a glass of orange juice, and then we also had some popcorn, a little bit of spray on olive oil, and then some salt and seasonings. And there's the ice cream. Best investment I've made in terms of enjoyment, as well as to help with dieting and protein intake. The ice cream is delicious. All together with the juice included, a full cup of juice, it's 420 calories and 20 grams of protein. And while I could have just had the entire pint of ice cream, as it's only 250 calories, I didn't need the extra protein. And when you're in a deficit especially, it's important to make sure you're paying attention to your carb intake for recovery and for energy. So I opted to stop at about 180 grams of protein and get the extra carbs, and still under 1,800 calories for the day. So I could have had another couple hundred calories or so for the day, but because of the way it all worked out and that I kind of backloaded my intake, I didn't feel the need to eat more. And this is going to allow me to have more flexibility for the next day should I want to have a bit more of a treat. So I hope that this video was helpful. Let me know in the comments how you do with your dieting, what kind of tips and strategies you use, and I hope to see you in the next video.